Welcome back to The Reset. I am Shaun Tucker, human performance scientist and authority architect. We are here in the living lab, documenting the science, the struggle, and the shift for every high-performance dad who's ready and eager to bridge that gap between their ambition and their presence. Today, I want to ask you a question. If all you did for the next 20 to 30 years of your working life amounted to nothing, would you still do it? I want you to sit with that question today, because that's a question that I don't think too many people really have sat with. And it really goes to show how much time and how much effort we put into other people's dreams. If you're listening to this podcast, if you're following this journey of documenting what I'm expressing, what I'm sharing with you, you're probably sometimes a bit confused or a bit questioning what it is that I'm leading you to or offering. Because this is a question that I have been sitting with for probably the last year or two, especially since my daughter was born. And she's now 2.25. So if all of the work that you did amounted to nothing, would you still do it? If I was doing the work that I was doing 2.5 years ago, would amount to nothing, would I still do it? Absolutely not. Because I was making myself miserable. And so if you see me, if you see yourself through what I'm going to share with you today, I don't want you to stop what you're doing. I just want you to sit with the questions, because those questions are the questions I wish I asked myself long before I started this journey, and maybe leading through and receiving this guidance from someone who's lived it. Because I think there's so many people, so many dads, so many high achievers and high performers that don't sit with this question long enough for them to realize their innate value, what they actually bring to the world, and what their work should be about. Because if you are working a job and you're happy in that job, it's perfectly fine. I don't diss that. I don't have any disrespect for that. I have absolute utmost respect to you as a provider, as a protector, showing up every day and working a job for an income. I fully respect that. But if you're sitting in your job right now and you are questioning everything about the choices that have led you to this point, then I want you to really be with me today on this podcast, because, like I said, I wish I had someone like me 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago when I've been in this business journey. So back to that question. If you amounted to nothing through all of the work you did for the next 20, 30 years, in this current job, in this current journey that you're on, would you still do it? Let's not even make it 20 or 30 years. Let's actually shorten that period. For the next 3 years, if you committed yourself and it still amounted to nothing, would you still do it? For me, absolutely 100% yes. Because I am loving who I'm becoming. I'm loving how I'm showing up. I love that I'm more open to change. I think as we grow, as we get older as human beings, as dads, as actually anyone, as man or woman, it doesn't matter. I think kids are obviously very open and receptive to lots of different things. But as we grow older, there tends to be a pattern that happens, which is we become more and more closed off to the world. We become more autonomic, meaning less conscious. We become more habituated. We become more inclined to be on these compulsive cycles that happen every single day. And I guess a question, or not even a question, something that rose up from a podcast I listened to back in 2019 was on impact theory. It was Sadhguru talking with Tom Bilyeu. And this is what actually really led me to the inquiry of who Sadhguru was and why I actually became interested and started doing some of the Isha Foundation practices. He said something along the lines of, we have cycles in our life, right? We are hugely impacted or influenced by the planetary cycles in our solar system, the moon cycle, the sun cycle, the solar cycle. These things happen as a result of the position that we are in our solar system, right? And we are influenced by them through our astrology, essentially. But the question is, do you want life to happen 100% your way? Because if it happens 100% your way, then it won't happen my way and it won't happen the other person's way either. Because this is how everything works in synchronous harmony, is that there are cycles that happen. And we, as human beings, we are compulsive. We are compulsive creatures. The sun rises and falls roughly at the same time each day, within a 1 to 2 or 3 minute difference, right? So these cycles that happen within our human system, then they're normal, they're natural. But I guess, are we making them conscious? That's the real question. Because as we grow older, if we're becoming more and more unconscious and more habitual, some of the most successful people get to that point where they are ultra successful. They have the fame, they have the success, they have the wealth, and they're absolutely miserable. Why do you think that is? I think, in my opinion, it's because they've made it so unconscious that it didn't even matter how they were in the journey of becoming where they were going. It didn't matter because they were so goal focused. They were so focused on the outside world that they forgot that this is the being in here, that the inside world is the thing that, I guess, determines how you are on that journey. And if you are doing it for the sake of just doing it, that will get you far. But will it get you well on that journey? My opinion is probably not. Because as we become more and more autonomic and things become easier and more efficient and more effective, yes, we can win more, but does winning taste as good as it did? Remember the time when you were young, maybe as a kid, and you won? Like, I'm noticing this in my daughter. There's something about the way that she just celebrates her little wins that speaks massive levels of volume to me. It excites me so much because when she does something that she didn't know she could do, I did it! I did it! And she celebrates like arms in the air. I did it! It's such an amazing thing to watch. And the beauty of what I see in her is I see it in myself too. Except a part of, I guess, getting older is we start to draw conclusions on how the world works. And things become compulsive. Things become unconscious. And we don't measure how we are. We measure the outcome, the external situation. But that external metric should not validate how you are inside. If someone says you are shit at something, that's their opinion. It should not affect you. If you're sensitive, and I'm saying this because I am sensitive to what other people say about me. I am sensitive to the judgment of what people bring to the table. I don't wish that I was, but this is the thing. I'm making myself more conscious and aware that I'm taking my agency back. I'm becoming more conscious and creative in how I show up. I'm becoming the creator of my own reality, not what other people think mine should be. I think that is such a key part as to why it is important to start being the creator and less about the controller. Because if you're the controller, yeah, you can go, you can find your goals, you can reach them, you can achieve them, but will they make you happy? Will they make you blissed out? Will they actually help you feel better? Because if you're just feeling a void, trust me, I've been there, you're going to find out pretty soon, and I hope sooner rather than later, that achievement doesn't feel good after 24 hours. It's pretty empty. And you just need to search for that next thing. Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, I think a lot of men, I think society expects so much of you. And it's up to you to create how you are on that journey, not up to anyone else. So take your own agency back and really ask yourself that question. If this is what you want to be doing for the rest of your life, well, make sure that it is what you really want to do. Because if it's not what you want to do, it's going to be painful. Sooner or later, you're going to wake up and realize it's not what you wanted. It's not to say it's wrong. It's not to say it's right. But if it's not in alignment with what you truly desire, then, I don't know, find something that is. Even if it starts as a hobby, you don't have to drop what you're doing totally. Just reconnect back to yourself. Reconnect back to that relationship you have with trust. Trusting that inner world. Trusting that inner connection with life. Because when you have that level of trust, magic happens. So if you found today's episode helpful, please share it with one person. And if you need support in helping yourself bridge this gap between your ambition and your presence and your connection to yourself, then make sure you message or reply to this podcast episode with the word here, and I'll make sure that I reach out to you personally. Thanks so much. I am Shaun Tucker, and I'll see you in the next episode.